know, we have some beautiful scenery here in Oklahoma.
We do, we do.
Don't we, CJ? And so a different approach to love. It also gives us a chance for the audience to see some of the different scenery that we have going on here in Oklahoma. To let you know, we're just not about cowboys and horses and tumbleweeds. Okay? With me today is CJ Perry. Mr. Mellow is who he is. And he's agreed to come on and discuss his different approach to love. He is married. How many years?
18.
Ooh, we gonna like talking to you. And maybe you could give some couples some ideas from whichever question that you're going to let us know you selected. Some things that help them continue to take these different approaches in their relationship with their wives or spouses and, a significant other. So I'm going to read the 9 questions. Y'all know how it goes. And then I have no idea which question he's decided on. So here we go. What would be the first initial approach to begin interaction with a potential love interest? In your case, what different approaches are you continuing to take in your 18-year marital relationship with your wife? Are you continuing friendship, surveying each other to see if the chemistry is still there? Do you try to avoid intimacy sometimes? I gotta alter the questions just a little for him. Um, do you two avoid intimacy altogether sometimes? Um, and for what reasons do you do that in this 18-year relationship? What are some of the different approaches that can be applied or that you are applying in this relationship? How about love by the numbers and other metaphysical approaches like astrology and compatibility charts? Are you either of you into that? Um, how did you determine when it was time to make it an official relationship when you first surveyed her as a love interest? Um, what level of maturity were you looking for in that love partner? Did you change up any of the normal expected questions? You just started out like with, and I'm gonna say her name because I know and love his wife, Akamaye. You just start out with, so tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you did. So, but to something, did you change it to something that immediately addressed a priority of yours that you wanted her or your potential partner to have, like her characteristics, her personality, or some other expectation of yours that she had to meet? And lastly, did y'all make an agreement just to not impress each other and just be your natural selves? Which one of the 9?
I think I would like to speak to the intimacy question.
Number 3.
So you rephrased it.
Yes.
But I think I want to address it from the way that it was presented to me initially.
Okay. Do we try to avoid intimacy altogether until a decision is made to become a couple?
And so I'm choosing that one because I think, well, let me say this before I start going in. I think all the questions have some, interest to me. And this one I'm choosing because I think I might be able to bring something unique
Okay.
to the conversation. And, the hope is that there's some value that somebody listening might be able to pull from it. So, in our relationship, we currently have what people would say is a polyamorous relationship. And with that, there's the potential for us to engage in relationships with other people, right? Intimate relationships with other people. And this particular question, in terms of the intimacy, I think is important. Not only, you know, if it's a polyamorous relationship, it's a monogamous relationship. I think in general, there's a lot of importance that needs to be given to that. So I currently, if I was to engage in or pursue somebody else outside of my core marital relationship that I have with the common, I do have boundaries that I create before I would engage with that other person. So those boundaries are specifically, I do not engage in sexual penetration, and even before looking at physical intimacy, I often want to, I try to keep certain things in mind. So whenever I'm engaging with somebody, I recognize that whenever there's any kind of fluid exchange,
Okay.
there's gonna be a certain, a heightened bonding that can take place,
Okay.
right? So as energetic beings, we are beyond our bodies, right? Our
Yes.
energy,
Yes.
our energy, is not contained in this physical, right? People speak to auras and things like that.
Exactly.
That aren't, contained in the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always going to be a certain level of exchange that happens with anybody we come into contact with.
Exactly.
Even if it's not actually physically touching,
Okay.
we're getting close enough to where there's going to be some energy exchange happening, right?
Okay.
But whenever you have fluid exchange, there's chemical exchange that takes place as well.
Okay.
And
Now, can you be a little bit more specific with the chemical exchange?
Sure,
And before you even go into that, you and your wife have a very unique relationship in terms of your community involvement. If you could kind of you're artist. She's an artist. Kind of give us a little description of that relationship and how it transitions into the type of relationship that has been, the two of you have been sustaining for 18 years.
So we have two children,
Two wonderful, beautiful girls.
two little girls. So a lot of what we do in terms of the community is very much in mind with how is this going to impact our children, right? So it's very important that what we do and how we engage is going to support and uplift them and provide a community, or help to provide a community to allow them to move throughout life easier, right?
Yes.
So we're intentional about who we engage with. She is an artist, so she goes by the name of Changing Frequencies, and she's a hip-hop artist, among other things. But so that puts her in the public
Yes.
a little more than it may typical, for a typical layperson. But so there's certain precautions or certain considerations, I would say, that we have to consider with that being the case.
Are you always there with her? How do y'all interchange these roles? And then get back to the specific chemical exchange.
Okay, so, well, let me ask you to explain with your question. Make sure I understand what you're asking.
No, you're explaining it. You're giving a little bit more insight into the uniqueness of your relationship altogether, and the complexity within that relationship,
Sure.
because you're artists.
Right.
Both of you are artists. You're parents. So, and you're not in a basic traditional relationship
Sure.
in the manner in which you're carrying that relationship out. So I just wanted for the audience to know how unique that relationship is, because you're an artist, she's an artist, and the children are very artistic.
Sure.
So on and so you're answering the question, you're providing the information.
Just some context.
Just some context, and then I want you to just go right on back into,
Right.
where you
Well,
picked out.
we both support each other in our different artistic expressions, in different ways.
Right.
So I take on a more managerial role as far as her as a performance artist. But am I always there when she's performing? No. Is she always there when I'm out in the world doing things artistically? Not. That's not the case. But there's enough support with the community and how we have established some things that it doesn't need to be that way.
Because you do a lot of textile art, correct?
I do. I enjoy creating things that can be used, and so, from clothing to hats and accessories, I enjoy engaging in that kind of artistic expression.
Yes. Okay. Now, so back to
The chemical exchange.
chemical
Yeah.
exchange.
All right. So, in our saliva, in our bodily fluids in general, you're going to have our chemicals involved. So hormones are present. These things can influence the attachment that you might have to another person.
Okay.
So when you understand that, you can be more aware of how you may engage with somebody. So, to give you an example, if you get with somebody and off the bat you are exchanging fluids, so that may be, mouth, oral exchange. It could be based on your just whatever it might be. If you're exchanging fluids,
Right.
it's going to heighten the level of bonding potential, right?
Okay.
So when you hear people talking about they got turned out, a lot of times it's their response to that chemical exchange.
Okay, within the intimate
But
interaction.
within the intimate interaction.
Okay.
So, let me ask you this before I keep going, because I don't know how, PG this needs to be.
This is not for children.
Okay.
So when I upload it to the channel, I
Okay.
do select not intended.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure
Yes,
before I
yes,
go in.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. This is all adult.
All
here.
right, all
Grown
right.
folks. Grown folks.
So a lot of times people will engage with another person and feel comfortable if, maybe they say, all right, I'm willing to open mouth kiss, or I'm willing to have oral sex with this person, or I'm willing to, have vaginal sex with this person. Whatever the case is, whenever the fluids are allowed to exchange,
Come into play.
you may leave that exchange with a more intense attraction and attachment to that individual. And biologically, my understanding is that that is intended to help that union to stay together,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Okay.
Now, a fluid chemical exchange is not going to sustain a relationship by itself.
Intimately.
Right,
Okay.
right. Or in general,
Or in
right?
general. Okay.
However, it can create a heightened excitement and bond initially that can be a tool, or it can be helpful to move you through. So a lot of times people may use the term honeymoon phase,
Yes.
right? So when people are first together, they have this time when the relationship is new, the new relationship energy that happens, and once that kind of dies down, the rose-colored glasses, per se, can come off,
Can come
or
off.
are coming off, right?
Yes, yes.
And you see the person in a way that you see the flaws that you may not have seen before, or you may not have paid attention to, or be concerned about. Things that it may just be a little nitpicky thing that before you weren't really tripping on. Now it's getting to you, right? Or the work that communication brings to a relationship
Right.
may not have the importance at the very beginning, because the excitement is so much there, and the intimacy physically can drive the type of interaction that you have with that person.
So is this why we should put it off because of all of these things that come into play, the newness, and you know, with everything that you're speaking of, that can kind of like mess it up if you go straight into being intimate?
I would say this. I think each individual is going to come to the situation differently, because they're going to come with their own experiences and history, baggage, if you will. And the more you know yourself, the better you are able to interact with somebody else, in my opinion, right? So this is something I put in place for me. I can't say that everybody should hold off in that way. If you know yourself, and I've exchanged it with fluid, and I don't, that's not something that is going to affect me as much,
Right.
then it may not be something you need to worry about.
Okay.
But for me, it's something that I know I want to put a barrier on. I want to be able to get to know you a little bit more,
Yes.
in a way that I'm not clouded by my perception, is not clouded, because I'm super excited about getting in your drawers, if that makes sense. So
And there's that a while.
it's more for me and what my standards are,
Okay.
than something that I think is just a blanket rule that I would prescribe to everybody.
Okay. And now, as you're describing all of this, are these things that you and Akamaye, how long did you all know each other before you decided that it was time to, we could go ahead and be intimate now?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know exactly how long. So we met and became close friends, and it was not an intimate relationship.
Is it more than a year when you say close friends?
I would say, yeah, it was more than a year. It's probably maybe three years or so, 2, 3, if not maybe 4. Yeah.
So where was the turn with the two of you when you decided that, okay, now's the time to get intimate because she's going to become your partner? Or
Well, so because we were friends, we knew each other well, right? So when I approached her as a potential intimate, romantic partner, we already had established a foundation, for our relationship. So it wasn't so much a thing where I'm trying to hold off because I don't know you like that,
Right.
because I already knew her.
Right.
So whenever we became intimate, it was me approaching her and expressing an interest in a romantic relationship, and when I engaged her in that way, and she was receptive, we moved forward. I don't know how soon. I mean, so I'll tell you like this. So to kind of give you the story.
Yeah, because I'm like, how did you turn that friendship
Right.
and make it turn that corner
Right.
and everything?
Yeah. So we were friends. Like I said, we actually met through music. We were both making music and in a group together, and I had a crush on her. And at the time, so she's 4 years older than I am, right? And we met. I was, I think, 17, 18, and she had a certain maturity and just knowledge that that I didn't have, right? So in a lot of ways, she was schooling me and putting me on to things that I wasn't aware of, right? And whenever I saw that, I knew I wanted to be, quote unquote, equally yoked. So because I didn't feel as if I was at the same playing field, I wanted to get my stuff together. I wanted to up my game intellectually, culturally, so that I felt like I brought as much to the table as she did.
Okay.
So I kind of eased back, and I didn't express this interest in a romantic relationship until I felt like I had something to offer.
Okay.
So at the time, I was in the School of Metaphysics, and one of the exercises that I was doing in school was a 10 most wanted list.
Okay.
And the 10 most wanted list is a creative visualization exercise. So you are to list these 10 things and visualize the manifestation of them, right?
Yes.
And I said, you know what? I've been single for a while. I want a relationship. I applied this 10 most wanted list to my pursuit of this relationship.
Okay.
At the time, I wasn't even thinking about her. It was
Okay.
just, because I kind of had let that go.
Right.
But I knew I wanted to be in a relationship. So I listed 10 things that I wanted in a partner, and then I listed 10 things that I felt like I brought to the table.
Okay.
Right? And like I said, because we were friends, I happened to call her up. We ended up going out to Riverside, something similar to this.
Beautiful.
And we were just kind of hanging out, and I was excited to tell her about my 10 most wanted list, right?
Right.
I mean, because like I said, we were like
Friends.
best friends. So
Yeah,
if
best
I got
friends.
something going on, I'm excited to share, vice
Right.
versa, that kind of thing. So when I am telling her this 10 most wanted list, I'm like, hold on, you fitting my list. You fit the
Right,
criteria.
right.
And all the past emotions that I had towards her, as far as my interest in a romantic relationship, kind of came back to the surface.
Okay.
So after telling her what's on my list, essentially I approached her, kissed her, and that was the moment that changed our friendship into something.
You
something
put
else.
that bag of brown
That's
sugar
that's
up
what
on
it
her
was.
face.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. Well, we definitely appreciate you being so candid with us. So, that sounds, wow. Just like that, huh?
Just like that.
You're you she's there as your best friend, being supportive. You're going over your 10 most wanted. You look up at her and you go, well, this is you.
Right.
And the look on her face is, well, yeah, that is me. And then you kiss her.
That's pretty much
That's
what it was. I mean, I felt like
exchange of them fluids.
yeah, yeah, and you know, to speak. I mean, it's interesting that it kind of comes together
Yeah.
because she didn't necessarily see me as somebody who she was attracted to in a romantic way, and after the kiss, it put me in a different light.
I'm
And
sure that it did.
so I would imagine that the fluid exchange definitely played a part in that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 'cause she told me about it. She told me all about it. She told me, boy, after that kiss, she left her body. Am I telling on you? Come out here. Don't hold it against me, sis. Don't hold it against me. I just, he already knew. Yeah, whatever. She said, wow, she knew. After that kiss, she knew. So that's a pretty good wow to just be best friends. You wasn't even thinking about intimacy or anything, and then you get into metaphysical school, which also does slightly address one of the questions of, the astrological, but from the end of a metaphysical approach with visualization. And I'm sure you were very surprised that she fit that list.
I wasn't surprised, but it wasn't at the forefront of my attention. You know, I didn't make the list thinking about her.
I know,
You know
I
what
know.
I mean?
But
So,
it immediately opened up that door where the intimacy that neither one of you hadn't been thinking about or whatever was kind of like on a whole that neither one of you were aware of. And then when you became aware of each other, it was, you knew that you could go forward into an intimate zone.
I mean, I was hoping, I mean, I could have got rejected, but
I mean, something
but
about
yeah,
that, something about that pull in to the lips, to the bag of sugar.
you know,
You know,
we do what we do.
your brothers
we
do.
try to make it happen.
Our men, they are very proficient at doing what they do, and we love that. Is there anything, like, say for instance, if someone else is in a particular, maybe in a relationship like you and a Kamaye, I mean, 18 years, are there times when the two of you still in that relationship take intimate breaks from each other? And I mean, because is there some type of a foreplay between, we're still just best friends, and you carry out certain activities and things like that with each other, interactions with each other, where that's more important than realizing that you're spouses, and you have the you have that opportunity to select when you're intimate, who you're intimate with, and not. I mean, what kind of interplay goes on with that?
I don't think that we've ever intentionally taken a break from intimacy or physical intimacy. I think there's times when there's an ebbs and flows, and we're more or less intimate, but we've never been intentional about it.
So it's not planned.
Right, and I feel like there's a
I love it.
there's a natural flow.
Yeah.
Because we do work together and we do engage in business activities together, it does dictate that we relate to each other in a certain way. So we're not in a business meeting, all hugged up and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, yeah, there's a certain, just a natural appropriateness and a flow that
You're in sync.
we move in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's something that we go about saying, okay, we're not going to be intimate here, or we are going to be here, or we're going to pause or start, or it's more just as we move and engage and walk through our life together, things will come up and we have to adjust and move accordingly.
That, you know, that sounds kind of, well, it's not just kind of, it's very, very rare that couples can interact like that, coming straight out of just being best friends, uh, then going into, where y'all took it all the way to the I do.
Hmm.
You know, what was that like? Taking it from this intimacy that you weren't focused on into now y'all have spotted each other and y'all know, it's, who each other are in that
Right.
respect, and then to move it further.
So it's it's interesting. Um, so she didn't want to get married
Okay.
to anybody ever because she attached, or she saw marriage as a way that she would potentially get locked down.
Okay.
I mean, we live in a patriarchal society, and this this is that type of structure can make it easy for men to kind of dominate and dictate relationships and things like that. So she had a concern that marriage as an institution would impose certain boundaries and limits and things like that on her and me for that matter. So as I proposed, um, the conversation then became about polyamory and what does that look like, and this was a concept that she introduced to me.
Okay. Because I was going to ask you, were you ready for that?
So when I was processing the idea of being able to see other people, I think my initial reaction was like, absolutely, it's like it don't get no better than that, right? But there's a lot more to it. I mean, there's a
Right.
lot of
Right.
work that goes into it. Um, it's not easy, and I definitely have been very selective and if and who I may pursue if I was considering that with somebody else. So initially, I think it was just the idea and the excitement of the idea of being able to engage in somebody in a relationship intimately with somebody else.
While being married.
Right, right. So I was all for it, but again, as the relationship grew, you see what it takes to make that happen.
Right.
And it wasn't something that we engaged in, well, that I engaged in initially or immediately. That didn't happen till, years down the line. Yeah.
I mean, it never bruised your ego at all that your significant other wanted to, remain in a state, have that type of status and freedom, and still want to have you by her side and share her life with you, and the two of you share your lives with each other. Your ego wasn't, like some men, like, oh, no, you, not my woman, that's my woman. We get into this possession
Right.
of, like,
Right.
you just bought something.
Mhm.
Uh, it didn't bother your ego at all? It didn't hurt your feelings when she, when she told,
Hurt my feelings.
yeah.
So I would say this. No, absolutely, my ego was involved.
Oh,
It was
come
not
on.
something that I was all,
Yeah.
excited about.
Yeah.
No, it was very challenging, but because we were friends before,
Mhm.
I had, I had known her to be in other relationships, so it wasn't new to me. Um, and even at the time, she had a certain type of relationship with another gentleman, and it was something that I was aware of, and had my challenges with, and worked through in the ways that I did. So no, I mean, it wasn't easy by any means, and I definitely had times where I was in my feelings about it. But I think the biggest factor that assisted or even allowed me to accept the idea was that we were coming from a cultural place where freedom and sovereignty
Yes.
and liberation of our people was something that we valued and worked towards. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, if I value liberation, I value freedom, what sense does it make for me to, on a community level, be pursuing that kind of value, and then in my personal relationships, I'm locking it down, and I'm doing something that's contrary to that. So for me, I felt like it was a contradiction for me to even look at my personal relationship in a way where I'm going to be, trying to control what you're doing. And I looked at it like, okay, it's a challenge. So if you are with me and you choose to be with me every day, then that is your choice.
Right.
And I've earned that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you choose to step away, then whatever your reasons are, there was something that I didn't bring to the table. There was a reason for you needing to go elsewhere. And not to say it's a bad thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
But my goal is, if I can stay on point enough to keep your attention, I don't have to worry about, all the other options.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just keep doing what you do.
If I hold the standard,
Yes.
then somebody else has got to step up.
Because I mean, can't nobody step up to the. I mean, you took a woman that was totally against marriage, and she married you. She married you. She married you. So that in itself says a lot about the type of confidence that she has in you as a best friend, to enter into that type of arrangement. And it's been going strong for 18 years. And for those of us here in Oklahoma that knows this family, are close to you, you're loved everywhere you go. I mean, yes, we know there are others. Y'all can say what y'all want to say about Oklahoma, the heartland, baby. If you want cowboys, you want Native Americans. It's very seldom you can find tumbleweeds now, right? I haven't seen a tumbleweed in a minute. The Oklahoma, we have a lot to offer. We really do.
I think so.
We really do, and we do have a cultural community. And within that cultural community, it's been my pleasure and honor to associate with you and your wife, and to be recognized by your daughters who greet me and hug me with love, and they're my. I consider y'all my little magical family.
Yeah.
Because one of your daughters, she wants something, she just speaks it into being. She just, and so I appreciate you coming onto the show, and being very candid and mellow. I knew this was going to be a mellow segment, because I'm telling you, everywhere you see this man, he's mellow. Always mellow.
That's not the case, but
that's all I've ever
right,
seen. That's all I've ever seen. I've only always seen. I've heard about them other instances.
Not all the time.
I've heard about the other instances.
But I try to keep myself together.
Yeah, and you do a wonderful job.
I appreciate it.
We appreciate you and your wife and your children for being who you are in the community, and being intentional with the programs that you do. Tell us, before we get ready to get out of here, tell the audience about some of the programs that you have going on, her programs, the programs you're doing together, so that they can get another feel. And if any of you can utilize their services, then you can tell them how to get in contact with you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned earlier, my wife, she's a hip hop artist. You can find her on all social media. Changing Frequencies is her name. So we have that in terms of releasing and performing music. But right now we're actually really trying or working at bringing all of our different activities into one focal point. And the organization that we're in the process of developing is called LOVE. It's an acronym which stands for Legacy of Valuable Education.
Hold up.
Yes.
Don't just love. And that acronym is again what?
Legacy of Valuable Education.
Wow. And I know your Akamaye is an acronym
Yes,
specialist.
yes, she is.
You can give her a word and she will flip it. That is phenomenal. I love that.
Thank you. So, the organization, the first really flagship project that we're working to get off the ground is creating a makerspace in Ward 7 of Oklahoma City metro area. And for those, that don't know what a makerspace is, y'all can Google it, and there's a lot of information out there. But essentially, we're really wanting to create a makerspace in our community for the purposes of getting us back into the place of being a creator and producing the things that we need for ourselves instead of, just being consumers.
That's awesome. Well, there you have it. CJ Perry,
You got it?
a different approach to love. Now I got one thing I need you to do with
What's
me.
up?
Can you say, be different and love it?
I can.
Say it.
Be different and love it.
All right. And I'm going to say, be different and love it, and look forward to our next segment. Who knows with whom and where it will be. I'm trying to get your lovely wife on this next segment. Thank you for joining us. Peace and blessings. And I want to give a shout out to Hardaway Production, and I want to give a shout out to WNT Network, NT9 Talk Radio. Love you all. Peace and blessings. It's the Debra Show. Thank you.
What you think?
I love it.
All right.
Yes. You coming in for your intro? Come on.
Another segment with the Debra Show, shot by Hardaway Production. It was enlightening. Good stuff, man.
Appreciate it.
Way to go.
Surprised you, didn't he? He surprised me.
Well, that's good.
I didn't know what was going to happen. But anyway,
I keep open mind, so
Yeah.
never surprises me.
great.
Yeah,
Mr. Hardaway, Eric
Exactly.
Hardaway.
in the building. Appreciate y'all.
If you ever need a videographer, look him up. Eric Hardaway, Hardaway Production.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Signing off.
Thank
you.
That was awesome, CJ.
And that's the thing. It's like